The behavior section is the place you need to go in order to learn more about your users and their engagement on your website. If you want to know what users are doing, how they're going through your funnel, and much more, then hang on, because we will learn all the details of the user behavior right after this. Welcome back. Today's episode is dedicated to the user behavior section in Google Analytics. Let's get started. I go there by going to the left-hand side and going directly under Behavior and clicking on Overview. Overview will give me an overview and a summary of the pages that are most visited on my webpage. Obviously, Home is the one that is getting the most page views, and I also have a percentage of page views right next to it, followed by the other page, Basket, and so on and so forth. Obviously, these are the top 10. If I want to know more, I can either click here at the View Full Report, or I can actually do it by going here into Site, Content, All Pages. I like to go here because it's more focused. Obviously, the overview is really good if you're just visiting randomly once a day, just to kind of get an overview of what's going on your website. But if you want to go into details, you better get into the particular section underneath behavior. And now under site content, we have all pages. This is where we get insights of all of our pages mixed together with every visit, multiple page views. So it's really the bulk of the visits on our webpage. And as you can see, it's sorted by the visits that are getting the most page views. And then if I would like to sort them descending order, I can click here. And then you can see that I start with the one with the least page views, which is great. It's good to know that this functionality exists. Obviously, I could have dedicated an episode for all the intricate details of maneuvering and moving around in Google Analytics, but I think let's just do it as we get along through one episode at a time. I can see the unique page views as well, so I can double click and see again which pages are getting the unique page views, the average time on the page, etc. What's important for me here, and you need to understand it, is the bounce rate and the percentage of exits. And again, this is a very complicated, detailed subject, and it has a lot of controversy when it comes to the bounce rate. But think of it this way. The bounce rate is basically people who visit your pages and exit immediately. Let's say they get into your front page, they don't do anything, and they close the window. They do not interact at all with any events on your pages. And events is another subject. If you don't know what events are, we'll get into it in another episode. But basically, if they do not interact at all with your web page and they exit, we calculate the number of these pages. And again, we calculate the total number of page visits, and we come up with what is called the bounce rate. So it's very important to know that the bounce rate sometimes is calculated in a wrong way in Google Analytics, not because Google Analytics is bad or anything, it's because there's no other way of knowing when somebody just hit the close button. So in that case, Google Analytics considers that visit to be an exit. It's as if somebody visited your website and exited immediately, though they might have stayed on your page for 5 minutes and closed the window. In that case, Google considers this to be an exit, and it counts it into calculating the bounce rate. So one of the things that you can do, and that again, that's the subject of a more complex topic, is to have certain interactions on your page, such as firing of certain events, because Google can start calculating some time between the visit of the page and the interaction. We'll get into this in some other topic. I don't want to bore you with this, but for all of you beginners, let's get into the next section, which is content drill down. And this is useful if you have some kind of hierarchy or categorization on your web pages. For example, if your web page have a section about videos, another section about encyclopedia, another one about photos, then most likely Google will be crawling your page in such a manner that it will have separate categories as per your structure. So for example here, this is not really the perfect example because this particular demo that we are doing is for an online store and the store doesn't really have categorization. But if it were, or if it was to have categorization, then you probably would see it here, that as you can see, there's a folder structure. So if I click under payment, I can see the pages that are within that folder structure. Unfortunately, this is not the perfect example, so just ignore it. Moving on to landing pages. And this is very important because a lot of people get confused between all pages and landing pages. Landing pages is simply pages that people are visiting for the first time. So this is how people are finding you. Probably through an external link, a referral link. Some people might refer a link that is to your store or a link to your newsletter. And that's where people would land, and that's what we call landing pages. So generally, landing pages are less than the number of pages because you could land on a page and start visiting other pages, whereas landing pages only calculates those first viewed pages when somebody lands on your site. So again, if I go here, as usual, Google Analytics in its tabular form tries to summarize the important metrics around those three elements: acquisition, mainly the sessions, new sessions and new users, and also the other metrics related to bounce rate, pages per session, and average page duration. These are bundled under what's called behavior. And finally, conversions, which in this case could be transactions, revenue, and e-commerce conversion rate. So anything you need to know here, you can find it in regards to the landing pages. There's one thing that we never really talked about, which is secondary dimensions. In almost all of these tabular reporting views in Google Analytics, you can hit the secondary dimension and add something else. Add a secondary dimension in which you can drill more into information related to the main primary dimension. For example, let me think of something. Now that we are on our landing pages, let's say I would like to know more about a secondary dimension related to let's say source or source and medium. That's great. Now what's happening is it's telling me more information about how people are landing on this page based on their source and medium. And we've talked about source and medium in the previous episode, which was regarding acquisition. And if you don't know or you haven't watched this episode, then please, I'll make sure to put a link for you guys and make sure that you visit and you watch that episode because it's extremely important. And here again, we're using the secondary dimension of source and medium to gain more insights into our landing page reporting. So I can see that on the home, I can have multiple sources and multiple mediums. And really, there's another trick that we can do here. And that is, if I want to only see pages that are home, and I don't want to see anything else, I can simply put home here in the search and click search. And very nice, Google would only show me the ones that have home as their landing pages in the URL, and also give me the secondary dimension in regards to the source and medium. So that's more of a cleaner reporting if I'm not interested in anything else but this particular landing page. Next, exit pages. This is a great place to look out for errors in your page. Pages that are causing the user to simply get out from your pages, or simply close the browser, or navigate elsewhere. It's a great place to know if some of your pages are having low engagement, or maybe you've written something on the page that is driving people away, or maybe there's an error on that particular page. So there could be a multiple of reasons, and it's up to you to investigate, but this is a great place to see the exit pages and identify them easily by seeing how much traffic is exited from these pages. Moving on, the next big section is site speed. This is really good, and this is a good indicator for your developers and site builders. And if you want to share this information, I suggest that you create an account for them and give them permission to go and look at this particular set of data. So for example, in terms of site speed, if I go to the overview, and that's a good place to start with, I can see the browser, and I can also see the average page load time. So that would give me an indication of how fast or slow my pages are in regards to certain browsers. And also, maybe in certain countries my pages are very slow because the internet connection is slow, or the internet service provider is not that great. And it could be a great place to go with CDNs, a place where you can start hosting your images and files on separate servers that are closer to that geography. Again, this is another topic, but it's a great place to start the conversation. Again, looking at Spain, I can see that the average load time is 2.18, which is the lowest, and that is great. Maybe my website is hosted in Spain and that's the reason. Or maybe Spain has great internet and the page is loading faster. So moving on, page timings. Again, this is slightly more advanced, I would say, and I wouldn't really get into this particular section. I might just skip this one and go directly into site search. And site search is very interesting. So the way site search works, and this is different than the Google Search Console. Site search is basically if you have a search bar on your web page allowing people to search your site. You can pass the information that people are trying to search for into those particular keywords. You can send them to Google Analytics for you to analyze later. So it's a great tool to look at what people are searching within your own website. And that way you can maybe create content based on the most viewed keywords or the most typed keywords. And also maybe you can see if there are any errors, people are complaining about something. That's a great place to look at the terms under search terms. So if I click here, I could get to it from here, or also if I would like to see search terms, I'd like to go directly into this section. You can see here these two words. Obviously, this has not been active for a while, so I don't see a lot of search terms, but if your website has a lot of traffic, this section will be of great value and a wealth of information. So make sure you maximize your usage of the search terms and allow Google Analytics to get this data into your views. Search pages, again, that will tell me which pages people are searching on. So for example, if you have a search bar on your front page and a similar one in your blog pages, you'd be able to see which one is getting more traffic. That way maybe you can tailor or make adjustments to the placement of the search bars. Maybe you can put it on the left-hand side or make it more visible depending on your particular objective. Again, Within the tabular form, I can see the number of unique searches, the number of results of page views per search, the percentage of search exits. All these different metrics are in relation to the search on your site. So this is very valuable. Next is events. Events is a big topic, and to be honest, I'll try to skim through it, but what I want to say about it is it gives you more details about interaction on your pages. Google Analytics is great, and it tells me page views and all these different metrics, but if you want to know more specific engagement, especially around interactions with elements on your pages. For example, if you have a video player and you want to know how many clicks people are doing on a particular pause button or play or rewind, then you can have separate event handlers that would track each of these event clicks and pass this data into Google Analytics. And there's a special installation for that. You need to do special type of coding in order to achieve such type of tracking. And it's not easy, but it's not difficult. It's not a beginner's task. I would consider it to be a moderate to average type of implementation, so we will get to it in the next videos. And again, the way events work in general, they are having three separate sections, something called event category, event action, and event label. And every time you fire an event, you can have these three different naming associated with your event. So for example, let's say we're doing clicks on our web pages in general. Then in that case, the event category could be called clicks. And then the event action could be a click, or maybe a download, or maybe a double click, or a drag, or a slide. The particular interaction type could be the name, and that is what an event action could be. And then the event label could be the particular label of the element that was clicked. For example, if it was a button that says download now, then the event label could actually be the text, which is download now. And that's how you can differentiate which buttons are getting more clicks, and you can have more details around such elements. So events are really great, a lifesaver when it comes to trying to analyze interactions or clicks within your pages. And that's great if you can learn it. That's something excellent and an added feature to your development. Again, you can have top events. That's where you can see more. For example, here the category could be event, could be enhanced e-commerce or contact us. That's just the way we've named it. You could name it something else. Again, event action. As I told you, this is here, add to cart, product click, remove from cart. Again, these are all event actions in relation to the mother or the parent event category, which was called enhanced e-commerce. You can have multiple event categories, and each would have its own event actions underneath. And then the event label would tell me more in details about the particular click that happened on that particular link. That's great. Again, pages, if I want to know more information about which pages got the most event clicks or the event interactions, then I can see here that this particular one got the most. And also more details around the unique views or unique events. I generally look at unique events because these matter more. For example, if somebody clicks on a button 3 times, I probably don't want to count the 3 times. I want to count only once because that's what matters. So, events flow, just like the other section that we talked about a while ago. This is pretty neat. It kind of visually represents the flow in a hierarchical fashion of the events moving from event 1 to event 2 to event 3. It gives me up to 3 levels, and obviously I can add more if I want to. but it really tells me how people are flowing through my website, and it gives me an easy way of looking at things. Now, publisher, under behavior, is related really to AdSense. And if you have an AdSense account, meaning if you are a content provider and you put advertisements for Google on your pages, then you can link your account, your AdSense account, to Google Analytics and start feeding in the data and the reporting, and you can see it all under Google Analytics. It's an advanced topic, I'm going to skip it, but it has a bunch of related categories and sections related to publisher pages and referrals and experiments. I'm gonna just unclick this. And experiments is a very advanced topic and a beta version. Not much has been done, and I haven't really found a great experiments that are out there that I can really share with you at this time for beginners, but I promise that I will have a special experiment for advanced users. Until a new episode, and our new episode will be around conversion. The next topic is conversions in Google Analytics, and conversions are a major section. You need to understand conversions more than probably any other section. So hang on, because this episode will be next. And until I see you, make sure you subscribe to Webawk and also create a free account with webawk.com, because I will share more tools and insights into digital marketing. Until a new episode with me, Danny, take care. I will see you soon.